Hey guys, I'm Dan Denham. I'm Cisco SE that's assigned to SHI only, and I cover the data center products from Cisco. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about HyperFlex. I'm putting together a series of videos that are going to go into the details of why HyperFlex gets better performance from their disk subsystem or their storage system, if you will, than all the other brands out there. There's some key differentiators that really will drive that conversation. So I want to make sure you guys understand where Cisco's coming from. HyperFlex 4 is out. There's a lot of noise at Cisco around HyperFlex 4. We feel like it's the version that will kind of tip us over the edge, if you will. At this point, I'd like to make sure that you guys have a good grounding and understanding of the basics around why HyperFlex is better. You've got a lot of choices out there. I just want to make sure you understand how HyperFlex fits into the game. All right, so before I go any further, I want to introduce a couple of guys to you. So we've got Krishna and Malik. I won't try their last names. I'll butcher them for sure. But these two guys are the founders of SpringPath. And SpringPath is really the technology that underpins the HyperFlex product, right? So these two founders, when they built SpringPath, came from VMware. They also had strong networking backgrounds. So their backgrounds really fit in well to the HC development cycle, if you will. They understood what number one VMware needs and pretty much any hypervisor needs to underpin it to make sure that the HC environment performs well. Right. So I mentioned both storage and networking. We'll get into both of those during these videos. So when I think back to my time, working with storage subsystems in the past, I can tell you that I really wish that those storage systems worked the way SpringPath works with the HyperFlex product. It makes it super simple. There's a lot of performance. And when I say super simple, I'm not talking about a management concept, but I'm talking about how you put the array together, how you use the array, and how it actually performs in the environment that it's in. So that's really what I'm talking about. So, all these older or all these other HC platforms out there really use some variant of the ext4 file system. HyperFlex is fundamentally different in their approach. So with HyperFlex, we use the log structured file system, log structured distributed file system. Distributed is the key word in this concept. So when we talk about the distribution within the HyperFlex storage platform, let's take a VM, and let's say that VM wants to write or read from the storage. This VM, through the controller VM, will be spreading its writes across all the nodes in the system, and not only just all the nodes, but all the disks in the nodes. And that includes let's say the cache, which can be SSD or some other higher performance product, the capacity layer as well. So it's being striped across the capacity layer. And it's important to understand that in a HyperFlex environment, there is no concept of RAID, if you will. It really uses a completely distributed either RF3 or RF2, replication factor 3 or 2, to distribute the data across these nodes. So you don't have all that RAID overhead to deal with within the node or across the nodes in any way. So there's no overhead performance losses there. So anyways, same thing with reads. The reads are pulled from the cache inside of all these nodes, not just the local node, There's no local storage concept within this environment. So this storage subsystem is truly spread across the entire environment. And that's really where HyperFlex shines, in that you get very consistent performance and very low latency performance with very high throughput and I/O performance. So those are all things that are very important in a modern storage subsystem. And we do it all with ease of use as well, which we'll talk about in one of the other videos that I'll be making. So really, that's what it's all about. It's not having local bottlenecks. Let's say a VM needs to read and or write, or well, let's take the read example. So the VM needs to read data. It will not be going to local. It will be going to data coming from across the entire cluster, leveraging the entire cluster. So there's no localized performance issues. So let's say this VM needs to be moved to another host for maintenance purposes or balancing purposes. Who knows why you might want to move it. But the whole idea of VMs in a modern system is to be able to take that virtualized server and move it wherever you need it to go. So the idea of having localized performance pools where you've got either a lot of storage or a lot of performance, or maybe both, on a single or multiple nodes, maybe in a system, limiting your VM move to maybe just one node, right? Or one other node, I should say. That's a huge bottleneck in just managing your VMs. We're having to think about where you place them based on storage performance or capacity. That's a problem. That's something that HyperFlex customers don't have to think about. They don't have to deal with. So when you look at just how much bang for the buck you get, you'll find that the HyperFlex platform will give you more VMs per node than any other platform on the market today. And you can put a higher level of application. Maybe it's Oracle, maybe it's SQL. You can get better performance out of the cluster than you would with any of the other brands out there. And I'm talking Nutanix, I'm talking VMware, right? They all have products, and they're good products, but they do not perform the same way that the HyperFlex product performs. So again, putting together a series of videos. I hope this kind of piques your interest to dig into this. There's going to be some other content that I'll be including in the notes and so on that you can dig into and really go deep on these products. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.